Okay, let's dive into this. Picture this scene. You're at a party, maybe the music's a bit loud, and then suddenly, car horns. Nonstop. And right away, you get this picture of the McGrath family, the mom, she hates anything showy or vulgar, bracing herself.
Yeah, bracing for Frankie's brother Finley and his friends. It's loud, it's boisterous.
It's such a small moment, but it really sets up this tension, doesn't it? Between like societal expectations and this burst of youthful energy.
It absolutely does. And even in that opening, you sort of feel these fault lines in society. The mom wanting propriety,
right,
and then Finley's crew, just full of life. It's a little snapshot of bigger cultural shifts starting to bubble up.
Exactly. And for Frankie, you know, the Vietnam War initially, it's distant, almost romanticized through Finley's letters.
Yeah, these funny letters about his life on board the ship sounds quite tame.
Totally. And postcards, too. Lush green jungles and aqua seas. It sounds like an adventure trip almost.
Well, she's dreaming of something totally different, right? An apartment near the beach, Santa Monica, sharing it with Finley. Very grounded.
That contrast is so sharp. The ideal versus the reality that's, well, looming just ahead.
It really is. Those letters, the postcards, they're powerful foreshadowing. They show her innocent initial understanding, maybe shaped by distance, maybe a bit sanitized.
And that Santa Monica dream just highlights the personal hopes about to be, well, completely upended.
Absolutely.
And then you see Frankie's determination just kick in. She decides she is going to Vietnam to be with her brother.
Despite the knockbacks, Navy says no, Air Force says no, lack of experience.
But she doesn't stop. She keeps pushing, right? And that persistence leads her straight to the Army Nurse Corps.
And they're just like, sure, ma'am. We need nurses. We could ship you right out after basic.
Wow. Talk about 0 to 60 into a life-changing situation.
What's striking is how proactive she is. It wasn't passive. She sought it out. Partly for Finley, sure, but maybe also for purpose. Something different.
Yeah, maybe. And those rejections just seem to make her dig her heels in more.
Seems like it.
And the moment she tells her parents, Dad's just, hey, a peanut. So casual.
Yeah, familiar. And Mom, her first thought is,
it's a boy.
Right. Tells you everything about the expectations for her daughter then.
Until Frankie drops the actual news. I joined the Army Nurse Corps. I'm going to Vietnam to be with Finley.
You can just imagine the silence in that room. The air changing.
That parental contrast says so much about gender roles at the time, doesn't it? Dad sees his little girl. Mom sees the conventional path.
And Frankie just smashed those expectations. Her choice, her agency. It's a huge departure.
And Mom's reaction. Wow, that's where the real fear about the war just spills out.
Think you be a hero, Francis Grace.
You keep your head down and stay back and stay safe. It's just raw fear, isn't it, for her child facing the unknown?
And that plea taps right into the growing unease about Vietnam across the country. It wasn't just patriotic worry anymore. It was deeper, a fear of what this conflict really meant.
But it's that final farewell. Oh, man. Her mother, referencing Finley.
Those were your brother's last words to me.
Oh, the weight of that, the grief already there, and Frankie still goes. Her decision is made, despite that pain.
It's incredibly moving.
Yeah.
And unsettling. It shows the personal cost starting even before she leaves U.S. soil. That resolve, despite her mom's heartbreak, it's powerful.
Okay, so Frankie ships out, and it's just this immediate, rapid plunge into the war's reality.
She graduated early, with honors, even worked the night shift in San Diego for a bit.
And then basic training is this intense crash course.
Yeah.
Splints, debriding wounds, stretchers, IVs.
And rolling bandages. Apparently she got really good at rolling bandages.
It just shows the speed, right? The urgency, how fast these nurses had to learn and adapt.
Absolutely. The pressure must have been immense, especially for young women, some maybe with limited real-world hospital time before this.
Then she arrives in Vietnam, and that flight over, apparently it was pretty boisterous, loud.
Yeah, until they land, then silence, apprehension.
And you see the difference immediately. The new recruits in their still creased green fatigues.
Standing next to the veterans, fatigues worn, faded. And that comment from Captain Bronson.
Sending goddamn babies.
Oof.
That hits hard. The tone shifts instantly.
That visual Bronson cynicism. It just shatters any lingering, idealized image of war. A blunt welcome to the harsh reality.
And the base itself, it's sensory overload for her. Thick mud everywhere.
And that casual, chilling warning from another nurse. Charlie loves to kill officers. Keep your head down.
Right. Then this hurried Jeep ride past barbed wire, sandbags, guards, constant noise.
It's a universe away from dreaming about Santa Monica beaches.
Totally. And her initial struggles feel so real. The heat, it's oppressive. The unfamiliar sights, even seeing Vietnamese children, it's all overwhelming.
And then she meets Barb and Ethel.
In blood-splattered clothes. No easing her in gently there.
Nope. Straight into the raw reality. And their personalities, quite different, but that informal welcome, they immediately feel like, crucial figures. Lifelines, maybe.
Yeah, they represent that experience, that immersion she's just beginning. Their appearance is a shock, but they're welcome hints at the bonds you need in a place like that.
Definitely. And amidst all this intensity, they throw her a turtle party.
Yeah. Kind of surreal, right? Loud music, trying to create some normalcy.
Against this backdrop of constant danger.
And that detail. The rat just strolling off with a candy bar.
Bizarre. It highlights the absurdity, the dark humor you probably need to survive.
But then, boom, the switch flips, helicopters get louder.
The major just barks at her. It's not a cocktail party invitation, McGrath. Move!
No time to think. She's suddenly thrown headfirst into a mass gal, a mass casualty event.
Completely unprepared for the scale, the chaos.
This sudden shift just hammers home the unpredictable nature of it all. 1 minute a party, the next. This, life or death stakes, instantly.
And her first real taste of the ER. The descriptions are just brutal.
Torn limbs, blank stares, gushing bleeds, sucking chest wounds.
And that image. The young soldier screaming for his mother. Heartbreaking.
You feel that wave of shock hit Frankie, leading to that sleepless night, haunted by what she saw.
It brings the reality crashing down. The physical horror, the human cost. It's visceral.
But even in that chaos, there's this small moment with Jamie.
His quiet encouragement. No fear, McGrath. You can do this.
Just a few words, but maybe an anchor for her in that overwhelming moment.
Yeah, absolutely. A sense of solidarity. And then his later comment.
Sometimes it doesn't take much to save a man in Nam.
Yeah, what does that even mean? The randomness of it all. The psychological weight. It's kind of chilling.
And the major initially, not impressed, said Frankie was as much help in the ER as a tiara.
Ouch. That's harsh. Highlights the skepticism she faced, probably as a young woman there.
But then you see her grow. She learns fast. Patty guides her. Barb and Ethel support her.
She becomes competent, resilient, adapting under that immense pressure.
Oh, while the casualties are escalating, right? From the fighting in the DMZ, things are getting worse.
That backdrop of intensifying conflict just ramps up the demands on everyone.
And amidst all this, personal relationships start forming. But they're complicated.
Frankie starts falling for Jamie.
Who's married.
Right. And Ethel gives her that very direct warning. Be careful, Frank. You don't want to get a reputation over here.
It shows how even in a war zone, societal rules, judgments, they still exist. Creates this internal conflict for Frankie.
Absolutely. Intense environment, intense emotions, but still constrained by expectations.
Then they get these brief moments of escape, like that trip to Long Bin for Captain Smith's goodbye party.
And she notes the stark contrast to Finley's party back home. Shows how much has changed, how different their worlds are now.
And that's where she meets the sea wolves, specifically Rye Walsh.
He makes an impression. Known for daring medevacs. Hints at something important down the line.
These little breaks, though, they highlight that need for relief, but also the loss of innocence.
Definitely. But the respite is always temporary. The war pulls them back.
The wounded keep coming. Frankie's getting better, more skilled, working under pressure with Jamie in surgery.
That little exchange. Hemostat. It's next to the retractor. See it. Shows her growing confidence.
But the constant exposure to trauma, it takes a toll. Even the weather feels oppressive, that relentless rain mirroring the mood.
It really does. The rain becomes the symbol of the grim, unending nature of it all, affecting everything.
Then Jamie drops that bombshell, confesses his love.
If only I'd met you first. You have no idea how beautiful you are, McGrath.
Wow. Talk about emotional conflict. Her feelings validated, but the situation impossible.
It's a huge dilemma for her, adding another heavy layer to everything she's already carrying.
Meanwhile, letters from home are describing a different kind of turmoil.
Protests, draft card burnings. The U.S. is changing rapidly.
It's like these two parallel universes, the intense fighting there and the growing division back home, a real disconnect.
Those letters really highlight that widening gap between the soldiers' reality and the mood on the home front.
And then Frankie sees the civilian side of the suffering directly, that medical mission to the orphanage.
Yeah, meeting the young nun, her instant compassion for the kids.
And that exchange. Her St. Christopher medal for a smooth gray stone.
Such a powerful human moment. Connection cutting through the conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Shows her empathy hasn't been destroyed by the horror.
She finds that solid support system in Barb and Ethel, though. They become crucial.
And those moments of escape, like the spontaneous beach trip near Saigon with the sea wolves.
Feels almost dreamlike. And that quote somebody says,
"Ain't that the God's truth? Best at times, worst at times."
That just perfectly captures it, doesn't it? The extreme duality of their lives there. Intense friendship, fleeting joy, right alongside the constant hardship.
Absolutely. Resilience, finding connection even in the worst circumstances.
But the war always reasserts itself. Back to the OR, not enough staff, endless casualties.
The strain is immense. On people, on supplies, it feels unsustainable.
Then Jamie goes on R&R. And Frankie. She regrets not telling him how she felt.
And then the news comes. He's been killed.
Devastating. That unspoken stuff hangs heavy. Barb's there for her, though.
Yeah, there's shared grief at the Oak Club, listening to "We Gotta Get Out of This Place," that song choice. Perfect. Poignant.
It's a massive blow. And it seems to trigger her transfer.
To the 71st evac, near Pleiku. Deep jungle, she calls it. Sounds ominous.
But Barb refuses to let her go alone. For as long as I'm in this godforsaken place, I'm with you.
That loyalty. It's incredible. Shows the depth of their bond. Essential support as things get even tougher.
And the new base is tougher. Red dust, basic facilities, higher security. You feel the danger ramp up.
And Barb puts up her posters. Civil rights leaders, Muhammad Ali.
A defiant act. Showing their growing awareness, their questioning of the official narrative.
It's a significant shift. Reflects the rising anti-war sentiment, even among those serving, and a questioning of authority.
Frankie starts noticing it too, right? The casualty numbers, the troop numbers. They don't match what's being reported.
You certainly couldn't find that answer in the Stars and Stripes, that official military newspaper.
And that dawning realization hits her. The American government was lying about the war.
That's a massive moment of disillusionment. Imagine seeing the reality, then reading the sanitized version. The sense of betrayal must have been profound.
They get another brief escape, though. Saigon with Barb. And there's a spark with someone else, Coyote.
But she's still drawn to Rye. At that Bon Voyage Hawk party, the tension is still there, unresolved.
Yeah, these relationships are just woven into the fabric of the war experience, always complex.
Then comes this really vulnerable moment between Frankie and Rye.
He tells her something about Finley. He was the one who told me that women could be heroes.
Wow, that connects them on a whole different level, a shared link through her brother.
And Coyote sees it, steps back respectfully. He gets it.
It deepens their bond significantly. Hints at Finley's own character, too.
But it's back to the grind. More wounded. Always more wounded. Trying to save lives.
And that heartbreaking detail. The soldier who dies on Christmas Eve, no ID.
Just gone. Anonymous. Highlights that dehumanizing aspect of mass casualties.
Then Barb drops another truth bomb, contrasting the official reports with what they see daily.
The Stars and Stripes reported no American casualties yesterday. 7 men died in OR1 alone.
Just lays the deception bare. Reinforces Frankie's anger, her disillusionment. It's undeniable now.
They have this fragile Christmas in the hooch. A makeshift tree.
And that charged moment between Frankie and Rye, so close, but unspoken.
And Barb's comment about regret just hangs in the air, hinting at what might be or what might be lost.
It's that, fleeting connection, underlying tension, the weight of it all.
Then total terror. A rocket attack, security alert condition red.
Explosions, fire, chaos everywhere. The camp is hit hard.
And Frankie's first thought, for Margie, another nurse, shows those immediate bonds of care.
That instinct highlights the camaraderie.
Yeah.
Looking out for each other in the face of death.
And Rye comes running, desperate to find her.
All I could think about was you.
They have this brief, intense embrace amidst the wreckage.
Then his almost weary comment. Just another shit day of the 71st.
Just resigned to it. Shows the brutal normalization of horror, but his relief at finding her is palpable.
He stays with her, sees the overflowing morgue. She's distraught over a young soldier, promises to write his mother.
It's just overwhelming grief. And Rye is just there, quiet support.
There's that longing again, almost giving in, but he's still technically involved with someone else. They hold back.
Such intense emotional weight in those scenes, the scale of loss, the personal connections, the complex feelings. Rye's presence is vital.
And Frankie has this moment of clarity, almost. thinking to herself.
If you knew me now, you'd understand. I'm a combat nurse.
It's her acknowledging her transformation.
Ah.
Forged in that fire, a new identity, irreversible.
Then she's getting these conflicting messages from home. Mom's pleading for her to come back.
While Barb is fiercely supportive of her staying, of the work she's doing.
Highlights that disconnect again, trying to understand the war zone from thousands of miles away. Different priorities, different perspectives. She gets a brief moment at the beach again, tries to find peace.
But the memories intrude. Bittersweet thoughts of Finley. You can't escape it.
Shows how deep the trauma goes. Even moments of quiet are haunted.
But then, a chance encounter. Rye appears.
And he clarifies things. I swear I'm not engaged.
That changes things. Removes that major obstacle.
Leads to a dinner invitation. A little flicker of hope, maybe?
A significant one, I think. After everything, a possibility opens up.
She gets R&R, tries to reconnect with herself, that rare phone call home to Barb.
Getting a haircut, putting on makeup. Small acts, but about reclaiming something.
Yeah, trying to find that pre-war Frankie again. The sadness is still there, but maybe a bit of youthful excitement, too. Hope for the future with Rye.
Those little things feel like big steps towards healing, even amidst the lingering pain.
Then the dinner with Rye, it's tentative, awkward even.
How do you reconnect normally after everything they have seen, everything they've been through together?
Right, that shared history, those unspoken feelings. It's delicate. Full of potential, but also uncertainty.
Then more bad news arrives. Barb's brother, Will, has died.
Oh no, the war's reach is just endless, affecting families back home too.
Frankie writes this heartfelt letter of support. Their bond remains so strong, sharing these terrible losses.
And the casualties keep coming at the hospital. Broken soldiers. A constant grim reminder.
Then they witness something truly horrific. The arrival of POWs.
The physical and mental scars. Unimaginable trauma, and that disturbing necklace one wears.
A horrifying symbol of what they endured.
And then, maybe the worst, finding a dead infant among the casualties.
Just unbearable, the ultimate cost of war hitting innocent life. Absolutely devastating.
After a day like that, words fail. But Rye comes back, sits with Frankie.
Doesn't need to say anything, just being there, that shared understanding, that silent comfort. It's profound.
Human connection as the only possible solace in the face of such horror.
There's a brief lull after Nixon's election. Things quiet down a bit at the 71st.
Another moment at the beach. But it's temporary. The tension, the memories, they're always just beneath the surface.
Even peace feels fragile, shadowed by what they've lived through.
Finally, the journey home. It's not simple relief, though. It's mixed, anticipation, but also apprehension.
And her parents' welcome confirms that fear. It's awkward, strained. Her father's disapproval is clear.
Not the hero's welcome she might have once imagined. The disconnect is immediate.
That sets the stage for how hard readjustment will be. They just don't understand.
And the trauma follows her home. The nightmares start.
And her mother tries to help, but her comments are often well-meaning but insensitive, just widening that gap.
Yeah, classic signs of PTSD and the isolation veterans feel when trying to explain the inexplicable.
She tries to get help, goes to the VA.
And gets dismissed. Told she didn't see combat because she's a woman.
Infuriating, invalidating, erasing her entire experience.
Her first call after that, Barb, she needs someone who gets it. Urgently.
That VA scene is just brutal. Shows the systemic failure to recognize women's service and trauma back then. Garb is her lifeline.
And Barb and Ethel step up. They intervene, take her to Washington, D.C.
To a Vietnam Veterans Against the War protest.
And Frankie finds her voice, even if it's lost in the crowd at first. I'm a veteran of Vietnam. I was there.
It's a huge step. Claiming her identity, demanding recognition. Barb and Ethel knew she needed that community.
She joins the movement, finds purpose in the protests and the shared grief and anger.
Yeah, turning that pain outwards. Advocating for an end to the war, for bringing the troops home, finding solidarity.
Then the protests at the Republican National Convention, throwing medals.
A powerful symbolic act of rejection. And Frankie fiercely defends what those medals truly represent, the sacrifice, not the politics.
She finds another cause too, right? The League of Families of POW-MIS.
Sees bracelets, learns about their mission. It taps into her compassion, gives her another focus for her energy.
She goes home again, though. Her mother is sick in the ICU.
And those family tensions are still there, with her father especially. The war's damage runs deep, hard to repair.
But friendship remains constant. Barb and Ethel. Understanding, supporting, encouraging her.
They are her anchors. absolutely essential to her survival, let alone healing.
Frankie makes a big decision, moves away from her parents' home, starts over.
Gets a job at a civilian hospital, trying to build a new life.
But readjusting is hard. Civilian nursing is different. The emotional scars are still there.
It's not just changing location, it's changing her entire context, while still carrying the war inside her.
Then finally, that moment of reckoning with her parents.
She confronts them. About denying her service, about Finley's death, about their inability to see her.
All that suppressed anger and pain just erupts. Cathartic, maybe, but incredibly difficult.
A necessary explosion, perhaps, to break through years of denial and misunderstanding.
But things spiral downwards after that. She hits rock bottom, relies on medication.
And ends up on a psychiatric hold after what looks like a suicide attempt.
It's a stark reminder of how devastating untreated trauma can be, the breaking point.
But it leads to help, real help, therapy.
It's slow, painful, confronting everything she's buried.
And she gets that crucial validation from her therapist, Dr. Alden.
Nothing you feel is wrong or abnormal. You have nothing to be ashamed of, Frankie.
That's huge. Permission to feel, to accept her experience without shame. The real start of healing.
And then another breakthrough comes from talking, really talking, with Barb.
She finds out Barb carried those invisible wounds too. They share their pain, their experiences.
And that realization, words could heal. The power of shared stories. Shared trauma.
Immense. That peer connection, knowing you're not alone, is incredibly therapeutic.
She starts moving forward. New strength, self-acceptance, acknowledging her contribution.
Yeah, internalizing that truth.
Yeah.
Then came home because of you, Frankie, reclaiming her value.
Committing to taking it one day at a time, that's the path.
She decides to leave Coronado, says goodbye to her parents, maybe a slightly better goodbye this time. Bittersweet.
Hints of understanding, perhaps. And Barb is right there with her, of course, starting a new journey.
Closing one chapter, tentatively opening another. Still uncertain, but moving towards self-discovery.
She travels, reflects, gains a deeper understanding of Vietnam vets, especially the women. Their shared trauma, often ignored.
And comes to that complex realization
Yeah.
that in some ways, the war years were the best of my life.
Because of the bonds, the intensity, the impact she made.
Exactly. That paradoxical best of times, worst of times idea again. Finding profound meaning amidst the horror.
Then, years later, she attends the dedication of the Vietnam Women's Memorial.
A powerful public moment of recognition. Finally.
She even encounters another female veteran there, Jamie, a fellow survivor.
And understands profoundly. Remembrance mattered. For the lost, yes, but also for the living, for validating their experiences.
And that leads to her final commitment, right, to make sure these stories are told.
Yes, to share the experiences of the women who served so they are never forgotten again. Her purpose becomes advocacy.
So we've really followed Frankie's entire arc. From that naive young woman at the party, to the hardened combat nurse, through the trauma, the fight for recognition, the long road to healing, witnessing those incredible bonds of friendship, the challenges of coming home, and how memory shapes us.
Her resilience is just astounding. Her story highlights the immense cost of war, but also the power of connection, the need for acknowledgement, and that long, complex path to finding peace afterwards.
And maybe for you, listening, it prompts some reflection on women's experiences in war then and now. What does heroism even mean, and whose stories don't we usually hear?
Consider the lasting impact of conflict, not just on soldiers, but on everyone it touches, and why it's so vital to acknowledge all who serve in every capacity. Their stories matter.